Part 9. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the Beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 81. Hearing this, Xia Yunyu's pretty face showed a hint of anticipation. How can we stimulate them? In response to her question, Bai Ziyi said frankly, wouldn't it be enough to beat them up? Ah, Xia Yunyu's beautiful eyes widened. Bai Ziyi then said, they start to lie down because they live too comfortably and have no enemies or opponents. Just like the tigers in the zoo, they have lost their blood, but if they are stimulated in this way, they will soon regain their strength. Xia Yunyu immediately understood Bai Ziyi's explanation. But this can't help but lead to another question. Who should I go to fight? Do I have to go to the Genesis building and take on that kind of dangerous mission? What if there are a lot of casualties? I'm. Halfway through her speech, Bai Ziyi interrupted her with a wave of his hand. And gave Xia Yunyu a look that you know, indicating himself. Don't you have me? Let's communicate with each other and let your creatures fight with my creatures. I will control the strength when the time comes, and I will definitely not hurt you. Bai Ziyi patted his chest to make a promise, which made Xia Yunyuling excited. Yes. I saw Bai Ziyi's strength in the freshman test before. I don't know how many times he is better than hers. If Bai Ziyi plays a play with me and fights with my creatures, not only can he help them regain their vitality, but he can also control the strength so as not to cause casualties. You are really good, Bai Ziyi. As she said this, Xia Yunyu stood up and passed by Bai Ziyi's face like a dragonfly touching the water. Instantly, her little face flushed, and she hurriedly left the table. I'm full, you eat quickly, I'll clean up later, Xia Yunyu said a little shyly. After that, she lowered her head and quickly escaped from Bai Ziyi's sight. Bai Ziyi laughed dumbly at this scene. Then, he hurriedly finished the meal and went back to his room. When he opened the door, he saw that the room was spacious and tidy. In the past, Bai Ziyi's room was messy. It was a good thing to have Xia Yunyu here. Ding, the cooling time has expired. The host can start the simulation at any time. The system's voice sounded in his ears. Bai Ziyi didn't think much and sat cross-legged on the bed. Taking advantage of the quiet night, he wanted to simulate it carefully to see what it was. System, start this simulation. Ding, the creation value required for the simulation is 3000 points. Yes/no. Yes, Bai Ziyi replied. Ding, the creation value was deducted successfully, and this simulation officially began. Ding, please choose 3 of the following talents to carry. In an instant, 10 talents flashed before Bai Ziyi's eyes. He looked at them carefully and was quite satisfied. Endless reproduction, purple, the creatures love sports very much, and their reproduction activities never stop, which greatly increases the birth of new life. Strong fighting will, purple, the creatures on the mother planet become warlike, and they feel uncomfortable if they don't fight for a day. At the same time, their combat capabilities are greatly increased. These 2 talents are exactly what the simulation needs. Bai Ziyi does not have enough creatures now, only about 2000, and he is in urgent need of manpower. So this first talent must be taken. The second one adds to the combat power of the creatures, which helps to deal with those liches, and there is no choice. As for the remaining vacant position, Bai Ziyi browsed from top to bottom and finally selected this talent. Passerby, white, with this talent, the presence of the creatures is greatly reduced, and it is not easy for each other to detect each other, and the sense of happiness is greatly reduced. Bai Ziyi has discovered that most of the white level talents are used to pit themselves. But waste can also be used, turning waste into treasure, he is best at it. Since we have to strike first, we must do it before those liches discover us and use interstellar battleships. Sneak into their interior first, that is, the space station, and catch them off guard. This talent greatly reduces the presence of creatures and reduces the difficulty of infiltration in disguise. That's it, these three, I've chosen. Ding, talent selection is complete, please choose the items to carry in the simulation. Carried items, God's Authority, God's Eye. Carryable items, S-level prop card portal, Space Potion * 1500. It seems that the vanguard army of the Lich clan carried a total of 1500 star potions. It's a pity that Xianbing didn't fight for it, otherwise, it would be over if it was saved directly. Why bother so much? Helplessly, Bai Zi chose to carry the space potion. Note, once the host carries the space potion, the one in the opponent's hand will disappear in the world. It is impossible for two items with the same origin to appear. A familiar passage appeared in front of Bai Zi. Just like last time, when he kept the Longicorn era. But this time, Bai Zi did not hesitate much. The space potion in the other party's hand disappeared out of thin air, and he would definitely notice it. But this process would be very slow. And if he did not have the space potion, the creatures would not even be able to enter the universe. When weighed, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, so Bai Zi's only option is to carry it. I know the system, carry space medicine. Bite. After receiving the host's order, the space medicine * 1500 was successfully carried. Bite. This simulation officially begins. At the beginning of the world, the planet was already extremely prosperous. It was like the Garden of Eden coming to the world, magnificent, beautiful and colorful. The creatures were bathed in the morning sun and roaring with joy. Early First Era, the four dead extraordinary races resurrected. They have long been accustomed to Father God's supreme methods and did not pay too much attention to them. At this time, you descended to Earth and gave the 1500 space potions in your hand to the most intelligent meteor insect clan, and told them how to use this potion. Hypageddon is ecstatic, extremely in awe of your mysterious methods, and his faith becomes more and more loyal. You can even get a potion with such functions. Thank you, Lord, for your kindness. Thank you, Lord, for your gift. Bite. The host's faith value add 10. Middle of the First Era, after worshipping, the Meteor Bug clan quickly summoned the other three clans according to your order, and then asked them to drink these 1500 potions in batches to test the effect. Doughty, as the second most powerful creature on the home planet, bore the brunt of the impact. After drinking the potion, a burst of sparks and lightning rushed towards the world wall without any concern. Surprisingly, the moment it broke through the world wall, its whole body seemed to be wrapped in a transparent film, and it was not burned at all by cosmic radiation. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbspeed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix. Creation of the world, binding God simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 82. Not only you, but also the creatures on the mother planet are extremely excited after noticing this scene, and they continue to praise and worship you. Ding, host creation value add 5. Yes, it seems that those liches really rely on this thing to reach the universe. After a series of actions by Doughty, it can now be proved that taking the space potion can indeed reach the universe. Bai Zi is full of confidence. With this ability, he can soon implement his plan. Late First Era, the other creatures who took the potion also began to try to reach the top of the universe one after another. Among them, the Dapen clan with the strongest flying ability became the second race on the mother planet to collectively reach the universe. At the same time, the talent of endless reproduction was activated, and the creatures on the mother planet reproduced crazily. But in this process, you were surprised to find that the next generation of creatures that drank the space potion actually inherited the ability to reach the universe, although it was not very obvious. Ding, the total number of the three extraordinary tribes exceeded 1,500, and the meteorite insect tribe exceeded 2,000. After a long period of sedimentation, many extraordinary creatures have awakened in the mother planet, such as the wind god pterosaur, the super ancient ape king, etc., and they have divided their own territories. They are very warlike and the disputes continue. Seeing this scene, the mother planet is in a good state, so you will not wait any longer and start to issue orders. Let the four tribes form an alliance and break through the universe at the fastest speed. At the end of the first era, just as the creatures rushed into the universe in large numbers, the space medicine showed symptoms of failure. There was no choice but to give the last batch of space medicine to the three tribes to drink. You understand that time is running out and there can be no waste, but there must be a large amount of space medicine stored in that space station. As long as you can occupy it, you can alleviate the urgent need. Early Second Era, the creatures that rushed out of the universe began to march in the direction you specified on the way. They passed by the ice, but they did not choose to move the ice. Because the Lich clan will not attack for the time being, and carrying ice will waste the time of space potions, which is not worth it. Mid-Second Era, finally, after a long journey, the irregular space station appeared in front of nearly 4,000 creatures. The space station is surrounded by interstellar battleships, which are nearly 3,000 in total. There are also hundreds of witch beasts protecting it. Countless black spots are swimming in the station. You observe carefully and feel that they are all liches, with a number of about 10,000, and the slaves range from mid-level to high level. Okay, we're here. The destination is ahead. Meteor bugs, listen up, attack from the front. Remember, don't let those liches drive to the interstellar battleships. The other three tribes, sneak in from the back of the space station at the fastest speed. The main goal is to plunder space medicine and solve their own problems first. You issued a strategic order to the four tribes, and the latter immediately took action after hearing it. In the deep and silent universe, a wave of turbulence suddenly blew up, and the gatekeeper witch beast was awakened by this turbulence at first glance. This turbulence was caused by the high-speed action of the meteor bugs. They were carrying flames and rushing towards them before they could react. They had already smashed into the battleship group like a meteorite, causing a chain explosion and lighting up the starry sky. Encountering a sudden attack, the liches in the city had no time to react in a hurry. They quickly organized a counterattack, and the missile system and light cannon system in the space station were activated. Who knew that a figure appeared in the air? Arc-shaped rays of light and scorching fireballs were continuously emitted, blowing up multiple gun muzzles, and the lich used to transmit energy also fell from the air. Taking advantage of the melee in front, the other three tribes sneaked to the back and sneaked in from various entrances. Although they were huge and emitted a lot of noise, the liches guarding the space station were like deaf and blind people and could not feel it at all. Passerby launched. Under your command, the large army rushed around and finally found a warehouse entrance in the central area of the space station. After your observation, you are very sure that it should be the place where the Lich clan stores supplies. However, perhaps because the space potion in the hands of the vanguard troops disappeared out of thin air, the defense outside this warehouse was extremely tight, and hundreds of liches were divided into small teams to patrol nearby. At this time, you did not hesitate at all, and directly ordered the army to launch an attack here. In an instant, the Depens hiding in the dark plunged into the center of the lich team. Dozens of liches were blown away by the impact, and they sounded the alarm when they realized that there was an enemy invasion. Unfortunately, there were 2,000 meteor bugs entrenched outside the space station. Under the leadership of the Universe Bug King, they had a smooth journey and destroyed half of the interstellar battleships. So most of the liches were mobilized to support. There was no extra manpower to defend this area of the central warehouse. The liches themselves were very weak in combat, and because they did not receive timely support, you broke through the warehouse with only a few casualties. Kunpen even disliked the narrow space inside the space station, so he ordered the Dapens to start wreaking havoc and directly demolished the upper and lower floors. The surviving Lich panicked and tried to escape, but was blocked by soft bodies. Then, sticky arms stretched out from nowhere, tied them up, and crushed them in their mouths. Seeing the Lich defeated, Dowdy gave an order, and the Skywing Tigers charged, smashed the hard steel plates with their heads, and stepped into the interior of this large warehouse. Looking closely, there are rows of shelves with many heavy weapons, including laser guns, heavy artillery, and light-speed crossbows. Of course, there are also many supplies, and the most eye-catching one is the space potion. Sure enough, they are all here. Ze was quite happy. He waved his hand and immediately gave orders. Quick! Drink the space potion first, and then take as much as you can. You don't have to take those heavy weapons, but you must take the supplies. The efficacy of the space potion in the 3 tribes is about to expire, and replenishing supplies is the first choice. Otherwise, they would have a hard time surviving in space, not to mention fighting. As for those cool-looking heavy weapons, they are actually useless to Ze. After all, his creatures mostly rely on their physical invincibility and do not know how to use weapons. Moreover, time is precious now, and the marching speed must be fast. Carrying such heavy things will greatly slow down the speed. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will deal with it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 83. Late Second Era. Following your order, the large army quickly took the space medicine, and each person carried a few bottles with them. They don't have the ability to take away all the heavy weapons here, and it feels like a waste to leave them alone. The 3 leaders simply hit it off immediately. Under their call, the 3 tribes worked together to tear, cut, or devour all the items in this warehouse. The only purpose is that it must not be left to the use of Lich. At the same time, under the surging offensive of the meteor bugs from the outside world, the wizard beast group was defeated. The first line of defense had been broken through, and the interstellar battleship underneath was also smashed to pieces and could no longer be used. Without the interstellar battleships, it was difficult for the Liches in the space station to resist. They simply could not withstand the hard armor of the meteor insects, and fell in pieces under their sharp claws. And the fact that the interior was attacked and the warehouse was blown up also spread among the Lich group, causing them to panic, become angry, become more impatient, and become a mess. At this moment, in the main control room of the space station, a short Lich old man holding a scepter looked at dozens of surveillance images in front of him. His drooping eyes couldn't help but become serious. Chief, our space station was attacked by an unknown giant creature. Based on a rough estimate, the opponent's number is close to 4,000, and each of them is extremely powerful, far surpassing us. And there is a group of creatures that directly occupied our supply warehouse from the inside. At the same time, outside the main control room, a Lich rushed in to report the news. But when the old man saw this, he didn't feel much panic. Can we find out where these creatures came from? The old Lich turned and asked. The Lich thought hard for a moment and replied, we investigated through the tracer and it seems that they came from the opposite green planet with a land diameter of 300 kilometers. By the way, Chief, suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something again, and said excitedly, while we were investigating that planet, we also found traces of the black ice as a blessing in disguise. It's just south of that planet. It's the good thing we're looking for. As soon as these words came out, the old Lich who had been calm just now turned around with excitement on his face. What? Found that ice cube? Then go quickly and get it back. The purpose of their Lich clan coming here is for that piece of black ice. Through the tracking device's lock, I came to this area. I didn't expect to find it so quickly. But, Chief, those creatures have already broken into the space station. If we leave it alone, I'm afraid. Hearing this, the old Lich waved his hand and said with sharp eyes, then immediately mobilize the gamma-ray cannon and fire it directly at the space station. What? The Lich was shocked for a moment and couldn't find the passage. But if this happens, our compatriots will also be blown up by the gamma-ray explosion. What is this? Everything is going according to plan, we don't have that much time anymore. Be clear, all sacrifices are worth it. Having said this, the Lich stopped talking, immediately turned around and walked out of the main control room. At the end of the second era, the two armies are outflanking each other, destroying everywhere in the space station, but the further you go to the center, the higher the level of the Lich is on the three tribes. They even encountered a Lich at the level of a warrior guard. They have no emotions and attack with an almost lifeless attitude. Sometimes they even carry bombs with them. They will die with your creatures on the spot, and the casualties will continue to increase. However, the longer the fight lasts, the more fierce the three tribes become. Their eyes are bloodshot, the adrenaline in their bodies soars, and even their size seems to have increased a little. Activate with strong fighting spirit. At this time, the three tribes broke through all the difficulties and broke into the top level of the space station, a brand new space. Looking around, there is a room ahead, which is covered by heavy iron doors. Doughty, as the main commander, immediately mobilized the Skywing Tigers to attack, trying to break in. But at this moment, at the top of the space station, in a position that the meteor bugs could not see, a huge muzzle slowly stretched out, and a dark red terrifying energy began to condense in it. The Skywing Tigers broke through the heavy iron walls and saw hundreds of warrior-level Liches being locked up in a container in the spacious room. The container is connected to the head, constantly sucking the energy from their body until it is squeezed into ashes, and through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the room, you can even see the huge muzzle. For a moment, you seemed to understand something. You wanted to give orders to make the meteor bugs disperse quickly, but it was too late. The huge muzzle has already been pointed at the meteor bugs on the ground, and even the thousands of Liches of their own, the dark red energy burst out without giving them a chance to react. In an instant, the creatures fighting in the space station both looked up to the sky, and saw a burst of manic energy coming down, affecting half of the space station. Countless Liches were overwhelmed by the energy. Your meteor bugs tried their best to defend themselves, but they couldn't withstand such a close gamma-ray burst. After the flash slowly ended, the fire spread in the space station below, the steel was burnt, and a strong pungent smell spread. Except for a few meteor bugs that escaped, the rest died in the gamma-ray burst, and almost all of them were wiped out. Fortunately, Hyperzaton escaped, but it was a pity that the Universe Bug King was also swallowed by the energy for Hyperzaton. Damn it! I didn't expect that the device that launched the gamma-ray burst was actually inside the space station. And what were these Liches thinking? They actually shot at their own people. Bai-Ze took a deep breath, his face a little pale. He had a hunch before that the gamma-ray burst would definitely not appear out of thin air. So it is likely that these Liches have mastered the supernatural weapons that can launch gamma-ray bursts. But on second thought, his own creatures have already attacked them. Even if they have such weapons, they won't use them, otherwise even their own people will be affected. Who knows? They really did it? And the way to launch gamma rays is not other than this. It is to use the lives of their own people to sacrifice themselves through the energy conversion device to obtain energy. Bai-Ze really didn't expect such a brutal method. After this round of explosion, although the casualties on the other side are also heavy, the meteorite worms are almost all dead. It seems that the next battle will be troublesome. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 84. Early Third Era, after the meteor bugs were completely wiped out, the liches gradually freed their hands, and more liches began to return to defense. Some liches found intact interstellar battleships and drove them back to defense. For a while, the situation slowly reversed, and the pressure on the three tribes became greater and greater. Teams of liches came from all directions, and even though they were one level stronger, they were a little overwhelmed. At the same time, the efficacy of the space potion on them began to gradually disappear. In an emergency, you changed the order and asked the three tribes to replenish the potion first, and then not to fight, but to run to the upper level of the space station, otherwise they would be blocked by the liches here, and they would be completely finished. Unexpectedly, the old lich on the top floor had already made sufficient preparations. At the moment when your creatures arrived, a wall of energy light trapped the creatures in the center. Before they could react, countless light shells were fired at this side, reducing the total number of creatures to about 1,000. Doughty used his strongest skill to break through the light wall, but these energy light walls were formed by the burning of life by the warlord level lich, and your creatures could not break through them at all. Bai-Ze sighed silently as he looked at the one-sided scene. Highly intelligent life forms, their technological level is really strong. The most important thing is that their fighting style is too strange, they just want to win without dying. Bai-Ze was deeply shocked by the wisdom and technological level of these liches. They could actually create such a light wall that could even block the destructive beams of Doughty. It seems that after this round of simulation, I have to find Mr. Joe to ask him clearly what the situation of these liches is. It is really troublesome to fight without knowing anything. Bai-Ze secretly made up his mind to know himself and the enemy and win every battle. If you keep acting recklessly like this, you will only lose miserably in the end. Your creatures have discovered the Lich Chieftain. Although it is small in stature, its realm is as high as the peak of the warlord level. The staff in its hand seems to be used to control these walls of light. Suddenly, just when the large army was at a loss, the iron wall behind the Lich Chieftain was penetrated, and a majestic figure attacked, and the crystal yellow pincers slammed heavily behind him. All of a sudden, the Lich Chieftain was knocked out dozens of meters away, and the scepter in his hand was broken on the spot. The control of the light wall disappeared, and the warlord-level liches who sacrificed energy suffered backlash and fell to the ground with serious injuries. The arrival of Hypergeton played a key role. The surviving meteor bugs also followed it to help the large army break through, using iron armor to offset most of the damage. Then, the large army broke through the encirclement and fought all the way to the top floor of the space station, an open area. Mid-Third Era, nearly 5,000 surviving liches have already filled the bottom floor, and the exposed top floor is also targeted by hundreds of interstellar battleships. When your creatures came here, they looked at the difference in number by 5 or 6 times, and did not show much panic. After all, they were also veterans who had killed countless enemies, and it was not difficult for them to break through. But then, the Lich Chieftain, who was severely injured by Hypergeton, did not die, but walked up slowly with a hunched body. It raised its hands, its eyes were crazy, and it was still muttering something. You were surprised to find that as it muttered, the liches that were originally coming with great momentum actually disappeared one by one, and their bodies turned into particles, constantly reorganizing and merging in the air. Ding, the Eye of God is detecting. Ding, a fused life form was found. Name of creature, Lich King. Organism level, Commander level primary. Introduction, a large number of Lich lives were sacrificed, condensed, and combined to form a powerful life form, with a body comparable to steel and destructive power beyond common sense. Bai-Ze activated the Eye of God and observed it. This thing is actually at the commander level. He opened his mouth wide. Fortunately, judging from the information given by the Eye of God, the strength of this thing should not be as good as the Mechagodzilla it faced before. Hyperzeton alone is enough to deal with it. Army, listen to the order, don't give it a chance to condense completely successfully. Launch an attack now and strangle it before it can move. You seize the opportunity, give orders, and according to your idea, the three leaders lead the way, and Hyperzeton kills alone. Unexpectedly, just when it was about to touch the Lich King who was condensing, Hyperzeton was bounced back by a powerful force. Looking closely, there are two beams of light gathered next to the Lich King. Ding! The birth of the Lich King is detected. Ding! The birth of the Lich King is detected. Two consecutive prompt sounds rang in Bai Zi's ears. "It's that old madman," Bai Zi said sternly. His eyes turned quickly and he suddenly found that the Lich Chieftain had sacrificed thousands of Liches again, and even he himself became a nutrient. Two Lich Kings with a realm as high as the commander level were created in succession. Late Third Era, three Lich Kings with the realm of commander level were born together. Their eyes were empty, even worse than mechanical creatures, without a trace of emotion. The face was ferocious and livid, the horns were crooked, and there were faint bone spurs protruding from the fists, looking extremely fierce. After waking up, the first thing these three Lich Kings did was to attack Hyperzeton, who was closest to them. After observing with the eye of God, you pointed out the weakness of the Lich King, which was at the position of the tentacles. Unfortunately, the three opponents were all commanders, and Hyperzeton could only passively take the beating and it was difficult to fight back. In desperation, you had to let Hyperzeton take the lead and let the other three leaders and members of the organization start to break out, otherwise they would be trapped here and there would be only one way to die. Unfortunately, the effect of the space potion came to an end as soon as the large army started to charge. Many creatures felt shortness of breath and a burning sensation on their skin. But there were not many space potions left on them. Most of them were lost in the battle. The remaining ones were only enough for half of the creatures. Without waiting for you to make a decision, the creatures spontaneously organized themselves. Those who had not taken the space potion used their bodies as shields to help the creatures who had taken the potion to open the way. At this time, fierce firepower has descended in the sky, and in the hazy universe, an interstellar flying boat that is several times larger than an interstellar battleship has emerged. Driven by the life of the Lich, the light full of cosmic radiation bombards indiscriminately, and your creatures are cut in half again. Kunpeng, who is rushing in the front, has one wing pierced through and falls from the sky. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 85. Gadaji and the Water Emperor clan also gained the ability to fly because they drank space potions. Seeing that Kunpeng was unable to fly, it stretched out its tentacles in an attempt to save Kunpeng, but because of this action, it itself suffered a disaster. The encirclement of firepower engulfed it, and there were several broken shells in the smoke. The bombed ones were ejected, leaving only a few tentacles, still trembling slightly. "There's nothing we can do. It's too late. Hyperzeton, Queen, you can go as far as you can. If you are a companion left behind, don't worry about it. Fly to the home star first to ensure your own safety." Bai Zi waved his big hand, and the oracle descended. Judging from the current situation, it is absolutely impossible to fight a protracted war. Otherwise, when the effectiveness of the space medicine is completely exhausted, all of your creatures will be burned to death by cosmic radiation. The only way is to seize the time to retreat to the home star and fight a defensive war on the mainland. In addition, now that the Liches have also suffered heavy losses, Bai Zi actually does not believe that they will pursue them. So running is the most correct thing to do at the moment. At the end of the Third Era, Hyperzeton fought against the three heroes, and was beaten back steadily wherever he looked. His body was covered with wounds. But under your command, the remaining creatures followed Doughty to break through the encirclement and wander around the universe. Unfortunately, to your surprise, those Liches drove star battleships and chased after you. Because the speed of the battleship is much faster than that of living things, it will soon become a tail that cannot be shaken off, constantly shooting down your living creatures from the universe. I wanted to order them to fight back, but you found that the ball of light wrapped around Dowdy and even all living creatures was fading little by little, showing signs of disappearing. This also shows that the effect of the space medicine is about to end. There is no other way, you have to give up the idea of counterattack, let the creatures disperse, and return to the home planet as quickly as possible. But after they dispersed, the casualties intensified without Dowdy as the backbone. 90% of the creatures were lost in the universe. The interstellar spaceship led hundreds of interstellar battleships, chasing behind Dowdy, pressing forward step by step. Finally, Dowdy and the last group of Skywing Tigers had nowhere to escape and were forced to the outskirts of the storm zone. The Skywing Tigers chose to fight back before their death, destroying several interstellar battleships and falling to their deaths. Dowdy, on the other hand, was hit by a light cannon and was about to die when he was seriously injured. It was so desperate that it flew into the storm zone to find a way out. Baizi looked at everything in front of him and was almost speechless. He imagined that even though all living things were dead, at least the mother planet was still there. The next second, the Lich performed another wave of reverse thinking on him. Just after Dowdy led a Lich fleet towards the storm zone, a dark red light struck in the distant starry sky. You zoom out and come to Hypergeddon's side, and you are shocked to find that it has been defeated. One Lich King was killed one by one, and the remaining two Lich Kings directly sacrificed themselves. Convert the majestic energy into the gamma ray cannon, and launch a dark red gamma ray, falling straight into your planet. In an instant, the mountains and rivers in the mother star collapsed, the sky fell, and the sky and the earth were eclipsed. All creatures raised their heads and were covered by a dazzling light, causing a mass extinction of creatures. From your perspective, the mother star is penetrated directly from the middle, split into several pieces, and scattered in the universe. The only remaining Dowdy continued to advance until the protective shield surrounding its body disappeared. The Dowdy, which had lost its medicinal effect, was no longer able to fly. A severe burning sensation occupied its whole body. The Dowdy slowly sank. When it was dying, it opened its eyes and vaguely saw many liches driving interstellar battleships in the distance, and once again found the piece of black ice floating in the universe. But this time, they did not choose to drag Xianbing away, but changed their strategy. A pair of sharp gears appeared on the head of the battleship they were driving, and they began to cut around Xianbing. Baizi's eyes widened, looking at what was happening in the universe, and he couldn't help but stretch his neck. It was also looking forward to finding out what was inside the black ice that could attract these liches to covet it so much. He came to me from other multiverses and launched a desperate attack, even sacrificing his own people. Early Fourth Era, under your gaze, the black ice is slowly cut open, and first a burst of green luster fills the universe, then a piece of blonde hair slowly poked out. That's a girl. He had blonde hair and blue eyes, and a pair of standard elf ears. He was not wearing any clothes, but was wrapped in circles of vines and fell into a deep sleep. Bite. The Eye of God is activated and is under investigation. Bite. The detection was successful and highly intelligent life forms were discovered. Creature name, Hollywood Elf. Biological level, Commander level beginner. What the hell? That thing wrapped in the ice is actually an elf. Baizi stood up, confused for a while. But what does the Lich want from the elves? According to his understanding, the elves in the universe are not hostile to humans and are a neutral race. Naturally, it is impossible to have contact with races such as Lich, which are hostile to the human race. In other words, the two races are incompatible with each other. But why would a Lich spend so much energy and capture an elf at all costs? Baizi continued to look down. After the Hollywood elf came out of the ice, the Liches became cautious. They used a special mechanical soft claw to drag the elf into the battleship from a distance. It seemed that it was not a creature, but a valuable treasure, and they were afraid that she would be damaged in the slightest. Then, the Liches also returned to the battleship, closed the door tightly, and began to return quickly. The Dowdy floating in the universe, its life reached its limit, and finally closed its eyes forever after watching the last scene, and disappeared into the deep universe. At this point, the host creature died, the mother planet suffered a big explosion, and this simulation ended. Ding, based on the above data, the host has obtained a total of 10,000 points of creation value this time. Huh. After a long silence, Bai-Ze exhaled deeply. His mood slowly calmed down. The purpose of the Lich coming here, if nothing unexpected happens, should be because of that elf. It seems that there are still many mysteries that have not been solved. Bai-Ze shook his head, his tone was more serious. He must find a chance later to contact Teacher Joe. Ask clearly about the Lich and this, the Holywood elf. Otherwise, the subsequent plan will be difficult to implement. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbspeed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 86. However, the creation value given by this round of simulation is indeed a lot, and it has already paid off. In addition, after the simulation, Bai-Ze has almost mastered the weapons and methods used by the group of liches. If there is a chance for the next simulation, he is confident that he can formulate a complete strategy. Let's take the initiative and break their precise layout. Ding, please choose one of the following items to temporarily solidify. Lich Wreckage, Lich Chief Wreckage, Lich King Wreckage, Interstellar Battleship Wreckage, Witch Beast Wreckage, Energy Conversion Device, Space Potion *5000, Heavy Weapons, etc. This time, there are more items that can be solidified. Among them, there are the remains of creatures such as Lich Chief and Lich King. In other words, if Bai-Ze chooses to temporarily solidify them, he can make them disappear in the next round of simulation. However, only one will disappear, and it will also arouse the vigilance of the liches, which is obviously not cost-effective. However, there are a lot more space potions this time, which is worth choosing. System, temporarily solidify the space potion, Bai-Ze shouted. Ding, received the host's command, temporary solidification successful. Ding, please select a talent from the following options to temporarily solidify. Bai-Ze was silent for a while. He observed carefully and was a little entangled. In fact, Bai-Ze wanted to choose the one with the talent of reproduction, but unfortunately he realized a problem. That is, the area of the mother planet is limited. If there are too many creatures, the mother planet cannot support them. There will still be large-scale deaths in the future, and even a scene of ecological ruin. So be cautious and choose the one with strong fighting spirit. Ding, the talent of strong fighting spirit has been temporarily solidified, and this simulation is over. Cooling time, 40 minutes. After the cooling began, Bai-Ze exited the simulation space. He got up from the bed and looked out the window. It was already morning. So, Bai-Ze didn't think much about it. He picked up the mobile phone on the bedside and made a penguin call to Teacher Joe through the class group. Beep beep. Beep beep. Ding. Hello, is this Teacher Joe? Are you awake? On the other end of the phone, Teacher Joe Ching held a toothbrush in one hand and a mobile phone in the other, listening to Bai-Ze talking. What's wrong, Bai-Ze? You called me so early. Did you encounter any difficulties in the process of developing the world? Teacher Joe asked. Bai-Ze scratched his head and said slowly, it's not a big problem. I just want to ask Teacher Joe for advice. Do you know the Lich clan in the universe? Hearing this, Teacher Joe on the other end was slightly startled, and the movements of his hands could not help but slow down a bit. Lich Clan? You should be talking about the Lich Clan in the outer universe that is hostile to humans. It is rumored that their home planet is a real third-level planet, and there are monarch-level creatures on the planet, Lich Mages. Bai-Ze listened very seriously and nodded continuously. But what Teacher Joe said next was the most important thing. But, there is another thing about the Lich Clan, which I just heard about recently. It is rumored that because the Liches have been developing technology, the local resources of their planet have long been exhausted, and a large number of Liches have died. Then, under the order of the Lich Wizard, it seems that the Lich Clan has sent a fleet of warships to various universes to find resources that can revive their planets. During this period, the Liches seem to be extremely crazy and desperate, and many planets have fallen. At the end, Teacher Joe suddenly remembered something. He asked, Bai-Ze, you didn't meet the Lich. If you meet them, it's best to avoid them. With your current ability, you will either die or be disabled if you fight against these Liches. Hearing the last sentence, Bai-Ze's eyes condensed and he hurriedly mumbled. No, teacher. I just saw this race on my mobile phone. I was simply curious, so I wanted to ask you. After saying this, Bai-Ze took advantage of the victory before Teacher Joe could react. By the way, Mr. Joe, I have another question for you. Do you know a race called the Hollywood Elves? What are they like? After saying this, Mr. Joe on the other end of the phone paused. Then his face began to become serious, and he answered, Hollywood Elves? Speaking of which, this race is still related to the Lich. Unfortunately, they have been completely extinct, which is what you call an out-of-print creature. Bai-Ze's pupils shrank, and he dared not say, how is it possible? This race has been extinct, what are you talking about? Teacher Joe Ching on the other end of the phone thought for a while, and continued, Hollywood Elves, among the cosmic elves, are one of the rarest and most powerful races. The main thing is that they contain a special energy that can revive plants and trees, accelerate growth, and bring prosperity to the planet. Therefore, the Lich whose mother planet has run out of energy has set its sights on this race and launched a large-scale war of aggression against it. Under the Lich's desperate offensive, the planet where the Hollywood Elves lived eventually fell, and countless Hollywood Elves were persecuted, which also led to their extinction. At this point, Bai-Ze nodded, and he completely understood what was going on. When the Lich fought with him, he seemed extremely crazy. It was not because of anything else, but because the resources of their home planet were about to run out, and there was no time to think of other ways. They could only use the method of exchanging lives for lives to quickly end the battle and then go back to support the home planet. And according to Teacher Joe, it seems that the ability possessed by the Hollywood Elf is exactly what the Liches need. This can also explain why they would travel thousands of miles and cross multiple universes to track him here. There is just one point that Bai-Ze did not understand. Teacher Joe, you just said that these Liches have destroyed the planet of the Hollywood Elves and captured them back. Does the Lich's home planet have recovered now? In response to Bai-Ze's question, Teacher Joe on the other end of the phone shook his head and said, no. Because according to the investigation of the human race, it seems that the energy of the Hollywood Elves is not enough to completely cure the corrupted Lich planet. Only the Hollywood Heart, the treasure of the Hollywood Elves, can do it. It's a pity that the Hollywood Heart was lost in the invasion of the Lich, which means that the Lich's planet is completely finished. Teacher Joe's tone was quite happy. But Bai-Ze on the other end of the phone was silent. His head exploded with a bang, and one message after another made Bai-Ze sort out everything at once. Could it be that the elf is carrying the Hollywood Heart? Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 87. Bai-Ze, what were you talking about just now? Teacher Joe frowned. Bai Zi paused and hurriedly explained, "No, I didn't say anything. I want to say, what is the specific effect of the holy wood heart, Teacher Joe, do you know?" After thinking carefully, Teacher Joe sighed and said, "The holy wood heart is the treasure of the holy wood elves. I am not very clear about the specific effects. Do you have anything else to ask?" At this point, basically all the questions that should be asked have been asked. Bai Zi simply opened his mouth and said excitedly, "No, Teacher Joe, thank you for your answer, then I will hang up first." After that, a beep beep sound came from the phone. Teacher Joe took the phone from her ear and took a look. Bai Zi had hung up the phone. She sighed lightly, brushed her teeth, and just when she was about to put the phone back in her pocket, it suddenly made two more vibrations. Beep beep. Picked it up and saw that the person who called was a teacher from the same school as her. Ding. "Hello, Teacher Wang, what's up?" As soon as the phone was answered, a hurried voice came from the other end. Teacher Joe, have you heard? Just now, the official interstellar alliance in the human race's capital, the imperial capital, found some important information." Seeing her so excited, Teacher Joe couldn't help but frown in confusion. Then, the excited voice on the other end of the phone continued. "Didn't it report that the Holywood elves were all wiped out? In fact, they are not dead yet. The remaining little princess of the Holywood elves took the Holywood heart and escaped through the black hole. And most importantly, the group of liches seemed to have seen through her location and were rushing to a certain place." Teacher Joe listened in a daze, and the toothbrush in his hand fell down inadvertently. The expression on his face became extremely shocked at a speed visible to the naked eye. The Holywood elves were not completely wiped out? Then, the official meaning is. The official meaning is very clear: the Lich clan has a grudge against us humans. Once they really find the Holywood elves and dig out the Holywood heart from her body, the Lich's home planet is likely to revive. So we must stop their series of actions before that. For this reason, even the creators under the Imperial Capital Interstellar Federation have been dispatched, but unfortunately, we still haven't been able to lock the specific location of the Holywood elves until now." Teacher Joe nodded, as if he understood what it meant. If nothing unexpected happens, the creators should have been dispatched from all provinces now, and it is very likely that even teachers will be dispatched. The purpose is to intercept the Holywood elves before the Liches find them. There is no way, the Liches have a strong level of technology, can block searches, and even move their own planets. So the human race has not been able to find their specific location, otherwise it would not be so troublesome to lock the Holywood elves. At this time, the outside world was in a state of anxiety. Bai Zi's side was not much better. He hung up the phone and sat in the room in silence for a long time. That is to say, the Liches want to save their planet. So they need the heart of the Holywood, and the heart of the Holywood is most likely in the body of that elf. Bai Zi pondered carefully, and only this could explain it. Only if the heart of the Holywood was in the body of that elf, the Liches would be so cautious at that time. After all, that is the treasure that determines the fate of their planet. It really gave me a big gift. Bai Zi chuckled twice, and his eyes gradually became serious. If possible, he didn't want to get involved in this matter. But people are chasing him and insisting on killing him. What can Bai Zi do? He had to destroy them all, and by the way, let the Lich's home planet die together. Ding, the cooling time is over, and the host can start this round of simulation at any time. Here it comes. Bai Zi entered the system space and shouted, "System, start this simulation." Ding, the creation value required for the simulation is 3000 points. Yes/no. Yes, Bai Zi said without hesitation. Ding. 10 consecutive draws have been issued. Please choose any 3 talents from the following. First of all, the strong fighting spirit must be brought. The best way to deal with a madman is to be crazier than it. Then looking down, Baizi's eyes suddenly lit up, and then turned into excitement. Backup hidden energy, gold. After the creature dies, it will automatically release all its power from the body, causing a range explosion. Note, the higher the level of the creature, the greater the explosion power caused, which is an indiscriminate attack. The happiness of the blue scorpion, I didn't expect that one day I could experience it. It's really evil. Baizi's mouth corners slightly raised. As far as he knows, the talent after permanent solidification does not really belong to him. It's just that in the simulation, it can be summoned at any time without extraction. If you want to use it in reality, you need to pay extra creation points to transform it into a prop card or resource card. However, disposable cards are too expensive, and Baizi will not use them unless it is absolutely necessary. Forget about that, carry this talent. Then, the last item left. Baizi pondered for a few minutes and finally selected this talent. Creature Minimization, purple, active talent. The creator can designate a race and shrink it. It can only be used once per simulation round, and there is a time limit. This talent seems to be a joke. But in some specific situations, it is indeed a magical skill. The system only has these 3 talents. But after the talent selection is completed, the host is asked to choose the items to be carried in the simulation. Items carried: Authority of Gods, Eyes of Gods. Items that can be carried: S-level prop card portal, Space Potion *5000. Bring the space medicine and start the simulation. But the item has been carried successfully and the simulation officially begins. At the beginning of the world, the planet was already extremely prosperous. It was like the Garden of Eden coming to the world, magnificent, beautiful and colorful. The creatures were bathed in the morning sun and roaring with joy. Early First Era, the creatures quickly assemble under your command, distribute space potions one after another, drink them, and prepare to board the universe. The army listens to the order. Our plan this time is to attack the space station. The Dapen clan, with the strongest flight speed and destructive ability, under the leadership of Kunpeng, took the lead in destroying the gamma ray cannon. The Meteor Bug and Water Emperor clans are marching from the center. As for the last remaining Dowdy clan, they have the most difficult task. You will sneak into the top floor, destroy the energy conversion device used to create the Lich King, and completely crush the ambitions of the Lich clan. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 88. After making sufficient preparations, the 4 extraordinary races leaped into the air, breaking through the world wall and disappearing into the planet under the envious gaze of many creatures on the mother planet. Without paying much attention to the ice in the south, the army advanced at full speed, with a clear goal: the space station. Mid-First Era, after a long journey, a silver glow is gradually spreading in the hazy and deep universe. In front of the 4 races, rows of neat interstellar battleships appeared around the space station. With a wave of your hand, the 4 races under your command disbanded at the fastest speed. Among them, the 2 races led by Hypergeton and Gatenja took the lead as the vanguard army to attack. Gatenja opened his mouth, and the first petrified light descended, foreshadowing the start of the war. Before the many witch beasts below had time to wake up, they were condensed into stone sculptures. The Lich in the space station was awakened by this. As soon as he stuck his head out, he saw Hyperzeton standing high in the sky with a wave of his right pincer. The army of meteor bugs flapped their wings behind him, and under the leadership of the Emperor of the Universe, they rushed forward rapidly. Accompanied by bursts of explosions outside the space station, the fire engulfed a group of interstellar battleships. The most loyal witch beasts under the Lich swung their tails to defend. Unfortunately, the water emperors who took the space potion were comparable to swimming in the water, and their speed was far faster than the witch beasts, whose appearance was comparable to that of manatees, and they quickly stopped their actions. The meteor bugs led by the Emperor of the Universe were allowed to persecute the outer layer of the space station and destroy the rows of interstellar battleships. Very good, just follow this rhythm. The primary goal is to destroy all the interstellar battleships here, and not a single one can be left. In the last round of simulation, Bai-Ze still did not control it well. Leaving a lot of interstellar battleships to the group of liches led to their army being trapped on top of the space station in the end. Ordinary liches have no flying ability and rely on space potions for support. Now their space potions have been swept away by Bai-Ze. As long as the interstellar battleships here are destroyed, the group of liches will be completely finished. At the same time, in the main control room of the space station, the Lich Chief looked at the big screen and listened to the report of his subordinates not far away. Chief, there is an unknown enemy invasion. After investigation, the other party seems to be a creature from a planet not far away. Their leader has the strength of a commander, and the number of people is about 2,500. The Lich Chief heard that, and his face did not change much. Don't be afraid, it's just a commander. Send the Lich Guard to the outer perimeter of the space station for support. Then take 100 warrior level liches to the upper level of the space station to activate the gamma ray cannon. I want them all to stay here. The Lich, half kneeling on the ground behind him, nodded twice when he heard this. He then stood up and left the control room with a solemn face. The Lich Chieftain was left alone, rubbing his scepter with his fingers, his face becoming darker. Great Lich God, wait until I find that abominable Holywood elf. I can revive you by digging out the Holywood heart from her body. When the time comes, I will definitely revive the glory of my Lich clan and dominate the universe. Late First Era, just in front of the space station, when the battle was fierce, the other two clans had quietly sneaked into the interior. You applied the active skill biological minimization to the Depeng clan, making its body shrink 100 times. Kunpeng's body length shrank to 40 centimeters in the universe. It was like a black dot, and no one could detect it with the naked eye. With this ability, the Depeng clan easily bypassed the group of liches and arrived at the top control room. Ding! Active talent biological minimization time limit, 30 minutes. Host, please pay attention to the time limit. Seeing the system subtitles, Bai-Ze nodded gently. This time limit is not the time limit in the simulation, but the time limit in the outside world. However, according to the time difference between the two sides, the speed in the simulation is probably faster. Without much hesitation, the Depeng clan worked together to break through the two layers of steel doors. In the room, there were hundreds of energy conversion devices. Kunpeng left half of the clan members to fan the flames and wreak havoc in this room, while it took the other half of the clan members to break through the French window and continue to fly into the sky. To be on the safe side, it is not enough to destroy the energy conversion device here. The huge gamma ray cannon must also be destroyed. Completely cut off its ability to launch. After being selected by the Lich Chief, the general level Lich who was originally used for sacrifice to launch the gamma ray cannon also came to the top floor, but at this moment, they found that the two iron doors had been breached. In a panic, many liches rushed in, but were caught off guard by the sudden burst of arrows and fell to the ground. At this point, they realized that this place had been invaded by the enemy. After checking, all the energy conversion devices in the room were crippled and could not be used. In a rage, the liches launched an attack, trying to die with these big pengs. The news here soon reached the ears of the Lich Chief. Are you all telling the truth? The top floor of the space station was breached, and the energy conversion devices used to activate the gamma ray cannon were all destroyed by the enemy. The Lich Chieftain stood up from the big screen, with an unbelievable look on his face, and shouted at a Lich below. The latter lowered his head, his expression terrified. Yes, Chieftain. That group of enemies seemed to know us very well, accurately found the activation room of the gamma ray cannon, and destroyed all the energy conversion devices. Seeing this, the Lich chieftain's calm face gradually became hideous and terrifying. Humph! What a good trick! But, so what? They don't really think that only the energy conversion device can activate the gamma ray cannon. After saying that, the Lich chieftain slapped a red button on the console in front of him. Then, it inserted the scepter in its hand into a groove. Absorb my life energy, activate the gamma ray cannon, and show those invaders a little color. Its face was full of pride, and its eyebrows were visibly raised. But after waiting for a while, there was still no movement. What's going on? The Lich chieftain was shocked. It threw away the scepter in its hand, walked to the big screen monitor, and adjusted the picture. As the perspective moved to the top floor of the space station, Kunpeng's huge body stood there. It raised its head high, followed by many big pangs. The huge gamma ray cannon below, as big as Mount Tai, had been destroyed long ago. The muzzle was broken, the interior collapsed, and the connection was cut off, and it could no longer be used. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the Beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 89. Ding, the biological minimization talent time has expired, and it cannot be used in this round of simulation. The system's voice rang in Bai Ziyi's ears. And watching Kunpeng flap his wings and look smug, the Lich chieftain was so angry that his veins popped out and his eyes were bloodshot. But then, something even more unexpected happened. At the end of the first era, the efficacy of the space potion gradually lost its effect, and you ordered the army to start supplying. After that, the creatures' fighting power became more and more brave, and their blood boiled in their bodies, killing countless people. Strong fighting spirit launched. The destruction of the gamma ray cannon did not make the Lich chieftain lose his composure. He placed his hopes on the Lich army outside to resist the invaders. Because the heavy weapons warehouse was not destroyed by you, batches of heavy equipment were delivered to the Liches. They were fully armed and their fighting power increased greatly. But when the Lich chieftain moved his eyes over, the current situation was completely different. The entrance to the space station had already been breached by the army. The interstellar battleships were on fire, and no one was left alive. The corpses of the witch beasts collapsed and floated in the universe, scattered all over the place. Many Liches equipped with heavy weapons were beaten and fled in all directions, abandoning their armor and weapons. The scene was unbearable to watch. On the other side, your creatures did not suffer much loss. The Lich chief was even more surprised to find that some creatures in the invading army were finally surrounded and killed by the Liches. But the next second, these creatures actually released their own energy before dying, creating a large explosion in the shape of a range. Dozens of Liches were flattened at once. The hidden energy on the back is activated. After the coalition forces broke through the gate of the space station, they drove straight in. The missile system and light cannon system on the space station were destroyed one by one. The meteor bugs entered the interior and rushed around, even crazier than the Liches. On the one hand, they know that this is just a simulation, and on the other hand, they are so fanatical about your belief that they want to make a contribution without hesitation, and they directly hit the other party's gun muzzle. The energy of the self-explosion blasted the interior of the space station into pieces, and sometimes even accidentally affected other creatures, and produced a large-scale chain explosion, flattening the way. At this point, not only the Lich chief was stunned. Even Bai Ziyi, who has this talent, couldn't help but twitch his eyelids. Now, he finally understood why the blue scorpion was so crazy. A creature in the same realm can only fight 1 against 2, or 1 against 3. But if you directly detonate your own energy, you can kill dozens or even hundreds of creatures in an instant. Tisk tisk. However, this thing is also easy to cause accidental injuries. If they are all gathered together, it will be troublesome if they are all chained. Bai Zi curled his lips. On the side of the Lich Chief, it observed a circle of human-shaped outlines in the air through the French windows on both sides, looming and erratic. The whole body was wrapped in colorful clouds, and the true face of Lushan could not be seen. How could it be, that is? The Lich Chief opened his mouth wide and suddenly realized. Then, he said with surprise, the creator of the human race. The human race is a cunning race. But it is undeniable that they are strong. Especially the creator of the human race, from the first level to the gods. It is an enemy that the Lich clan also feels very difficult to deal with. It takes many forces to unite to fight it. Are these creatures sent by the creator of the human race? But why did the human race attack themselves? You know, since the Lich ancestral star was barren, they have not appeared for a long time. The hostile relationship with the human race has gradually faded. Even if a few human races notice themselves, they will not come to attack rashly. Thinking of this, the Lich chieftain immediately broke the French window and roared at the sky. Creator of the human race, those creatures were brought by you, right? We have no grudges against you, why do you come to attack my Lich clan? The voice spread, and Bai Zi, who was looking down at the entire space station, also noticed the Lich chieftain standing in front of the French window. He was stunned for a moment, then chuckled. With a wave of his hand, a contemptuous voice fell. No grudges. Bai Zi, who had experienced 2 simulations, knew that once the other party found that the mysterious ice was near his own planet, he would definitely kill people to silence them. In order to prevent no grudges from turning into grudges, Bai Zi had no choice but to solve them all in advance. What if there is no grudge? How can you come and go as you please on my territory? Since you are here, leave all your things to me. The things Bai Zi mentioned, in addition to the rich resources in their hands, of course, also include the mysterious ice. After all, it is also his property if it floats near his planet. However, Bai Zi's words completely annoyed the Lich Chief. It shouted angrily, "Humph! A mere first-level planet creator dares to speak arrogantly. I tell you, our Lich clan has destroyed countless human creators like you, and we are not so easy to bully. You wait to pay for your words." After that, the Lich Chief turned around and left with a scepter in his hand. He was going to activate his last trump card, sacrifice the Lich, and create the Lich King to fight against it. Early Second Era, more than half of the Liches were killed by the army, and your creature losses exceeded 1,000, of which meteor bugs accounted for the vast majority. At this time, the 3 tribes, except the meteor bugs, collectively replenished the space potion, but after taking it this time, they clearly felt something strange, as if their bodies were getting closer and closer to the universe, as if they had merged into one. No need to think too much, the army that broke in from the main gate marched forward in one go, rushing all the way to the top floor. After destroying the gamma-ray cannon, Kunpeng was free to support the other half of his tribe against the more than 100 warrior-level liches. In the entire space station, the balance of victory began to tilt with the determination to turn the tide against adversity. The Lich Chief also found the last team of warrior-level liches with powerful strength. Prepare to take them to the top floor of the space station, sacrifice them, and create a Lich King that is enough to turn the tables. Unfortunately, the Lich Chieftain was stunned by the scene in front of him as soon as he arrived here. The Skywing Tiger clan led by Dowdy had been waiting here for a long time. The various energy conversion devices and biological fusion devices in the open-air area were all turned into fragments, and the liches in charge of guarding were all killed. At this time, the leader Dowdy took a few steps forward, showing a confident face, as if everything was under control. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 90. Well done, Bai Zi couldn't help but say. In this way, all the opponent's means were completely cut off by himself. Without the interstellar battleship and space potion, they didn't even have the ability to escape. Bai-Ze caught the turtle in the jar with this trick, and they couldn't escape even if they had wings. Damn human race. I have no grudges against you, but you forced us into such a situation. Since we are going to die, you can't live either. I want you to be buried with our Lich clan. The Lich chief was emotionally unstable, and his eyes were full of hostility. Then its series of operations shocked Bai-Ze. The Lich chief was very angry when he saw that his plan was being continuously destroyed. It clenched the scepter in its hand, and the Lich following it immediately shook its body. Then, all of them knelt on the ground with their knees bent, curled up, and looked extremely painful, and their bodies were gradually disintegrating, turning into particles, flying towards the Lich chief. The Lich chieftain sacrificed his own men, not only the warrior-level Liches who followed him, but also a large number of slave-level Liches, became its nutrients. Then, the Lich chieftain's muscles bulged, veins spread, and his body grew at a speed visible to the naked eye, breaking through to the commander level. Ding, the eye of God detected a creature. Name of the creature, Lich Barbarian. Creature level, commander level elementary. Introduction, having devoured the lives of many Liches, the creature that came from the madness of the Lich chieftain has gained a strong body and a stronger long-range ability. Without a container, can you still devour the vitality of others and use it for yourself? Bai-Ze frowned. At this moment, he noticed the gem-encrusted scepter in the hand of the Lich chieftain. Originally, Bai-Ze thought that thing was at most a control device. Now, observing it, this thing should also be an energy conversion device. It can absorb the energy of others and convert it into its own body for use. The successfully evolved Lich chieftain took the lead, raised the scepter and fired several purple lightning bolts, hitting the side of Doughty. The agile Doughty dodged, but the Tianyi tiger behind him was miserable after being hit. His whole body was conductive and died. He also accidentally triggered the hidden energy on his back, causing a chain explosion, and many Tianyi tigers followed and died. You immediately ordered Doughty to lead the remaining Tianyi tigers to form a square formation and use the combined attack skill to counter-attack unexpectedly. The Lich chieftain could fight in close combat. It raised several hard tentacles on its head and crashed directly into the square array, interrupting the Doughty who was accumulating magic, causing the entire race to be backfired and lose power. You can feel that the strength of this Lich Manchang seems to be on par with the mechanical Godzilla encountered before, and it is definitely not something that the Doughty clan alone can defeat. Just when one side was forced into a desperate situation, the entire space station suddenly shook violently. The Lich Manchang lost his balance and his body began to fall to the ground. His subordinates urgently reported that the group of insects that had previously entered the interior were gnawing at the bottom of the space station, which was used to support the power device. The power device controls the balance of the entire space station. Once it fails or is damaged, the space station will directly collapse and fell apart. The Lich Barbarian was panicked. He abandoned the Skywing Tiger clan and hurriedly took the remaining Liches to the bottom of the space station to stop the insects. But the exit of the top floor had been blocked by the Dapen clan and the Sea King clan who came to support. They eliminated their respective enemies and fought all the way. They came here at the cost of losing half of their tribesmen. After endless sacrifices and killings, the total number of Liches in the space station has been reduced by 70%, but the creatures on Bai-Ze's side have just been damaged by more than half and are in an abnormally good condition. Finally, the long-suppressed Lich Barbarian broke out. It melted the scepter and sacrificed nearly 1,000 Liches on the top floor, absorbing their life energy. Causing his body to develop, it has undergone secondary deformation. It has grown several heads and multiple arms, and its size has increased dramatically. When it punches, sonic booms sound and strong winds blow. The two tribes, which were originally aggressive, were pierced through by the fist wind. Kunpeng barely supported himself, while Gatenja was thrown out on the spot and fell to the ground seriously injured. According to your observation, the Lich Barbarian, who sacrificed thousands of Liches again, is half a step away from breaking through the middle level of the commander. His power is terrifying and he has also obtained new skills. It has awakened the ability to devour. The creatures killed by it will have all the energy in their bodies devoured, and even the hidden energy on the back cannot be activated. In this way, the Lich Barbarian rushed all the way, and no creature could stop it. Alas, it is really a terrifying power. Unfortunately, even if you sacrifice more tribesmen, it will not help. Because it is too late. Baizi's voice fell into the ears of the Lich Barbarian who was running wildly. It turned around suddenly and was horrified. The Lich Barbarian was still a step too late. The power system at the bottom of the space station, which was used to support the entire space station, was eaten and scrapped by the meteor bugs. They chewed the metal sheet in their mouths and showed a smug expression. Then in an instant, the entire space station was paralyzed. The system controlling the attack weapons was scrapped first, and the self-destruct system was activated, blowing up a large area of liches nearby. Secondly, the main control room panel was in chaos, and the crumbling space station began to tilt to the side. Without the space potion and the lich of the interstellar battleship, they lost their ability to fly. Some fell out of the space station, floating in the universe, and lost their way forever. For a while, smoke rose in the space station, and various explosions continued, like a purgatory on Earth, swallowing up the starry sky. You immediately issue an order to let the 3 tribes replenish the last space potion and follow the meteorite insect tribe that perfectly adapts to the universe to quickly escape from the space station. The creatures received the order, and the 3 tribes did not pay much attention to the lich. They supported each other to take the potion and then flew into space. At the bottom of the space station, led by the Emperor of the Universe, dense meteorite insects rushed out one after another. With the explosion of the space station behind them, all the members escaped, announcing the victory of this battle. But at this moment, a black dot suddenly rushed out of the space station that was drowned in flames and gradually sank, and rushed towards the army at high speed. Looking closely, the person coming was the lich, and it was not dead yet. However, its condition was not good. Blood was flowing from all 7 orifices of its face, several heads were blown off, and only one arm was left. It desperately caught up with the army in the face of cosmic radiation and was determined to fight it to the death. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target. Type, mix.